Hello everyone, myself Hetangi Panchal. I'm qualified education consultant working with Oasis Group from last 10 years. He's my colleague. His name is Parth Patel. He's registered migration agent here and he's also working with Oasis Group more than 10 years. Today, we will be, if you have any question, you can ask us related to education and migration. Before we get enough questions and enough public online, we will start some popular occupation and courses in Victoria, which gonna help you in the permanent residency in Australia. So, like some popular courses in Victoria is like teaching, nursing, social workers, construction-related courses. All these courses are in demand in Victoria. So first we'll start with the teaching. I will ask few questions to a Parth, and he will also help us with how that course gonna help you in the permanent residency, how you can get your skill assessment. So the first one is nowadays most of the students are enrolling in early childhood teacher course, which is a graduate diploma of early childhood, which is a 1-year course. You can study this course online and offline both. If you are holding a temporary visa, you can enroll for this course online. And if you are holding a student visa, definitely you will be doing this course on campus. The fees for the course is around 25,000 to $28,000 for 1 year. And the minimum requirement for the course, like English language requirement, is 6.5, no one less than 6. So I will ask few questions related to migration. Like Parth, if any student finish graduate diploma of early childhood course, so what is the requirement? How they're gonna what's the first step? How they will get their skill assessment done?
Yeah, sure. Look, generally, for teachers' occupation, firstly, I would like to say that it's not just the early childhood teachers, but then the other teaching occupations like primary school teacher, and then secondary school teacher, they are also very popular and very high in demand. It's easier to apply for permanent residency through such occupations. One more correction I would like to make is it's not just about Victoria that we are looking at, but then basically all over Australia, wherever you are studying such courses, it is comparatively easier to apply for permanent residency. And also it's very comparatively easier to secure jobs in such occupations. And if you have a job in the relevant field, if nothing works, you can ultimately look at employer sponsored visas. That option is still available all the time, so that's why it's very popular. Coming down to the same question, which is how someone can apply for a skills assessment. So it actually depends on the occupations.
Let's say the student, first of all, definitely in teaching, there are a vast varieties like primary teacher, secondary teacher, and early childhood. But let's say if currently I'm talking about if student did 1 year of graduate diploma of early childhood education. So what's the requirement? How they're gonna get the skill assessment?
Yeah, sure. Look, if someone would like to get a skill assessment as an early childhood teacher, then they are required to have studied a qualification in early childhood education setting. Generally, those qualifications are a bachelor's or higher level qualifications, so bachelor's or a graduate diploma or a master's qualifications. Now, if you have studied such qualifications, it could be in Australia or it could be outside of Australia. If your qualification is gained in Australia and if that qualification is also accredited by skill assessment body, then that qualification is straight away eligible for skills assessment. Straight away means there is no extra requirement in the qualification that we have to check. If your qualification is not accredited by the relevant body, skill assessment body, then they will be doing another assessment to see whether that qualification has sufficient component of early childhood education teaching component as such. If it is, then you are eligible for a skill assessment. So that's the first thing. Secondly, there is an English requirement towards the skills assessment, but there are some exemptions given for skills assessment if you have studied in Australia for at least 1 year in duration. So most of the time students have studied at least 1 year course, because when you are referring to graduate diploma of early childhood, because that's 1 year course.
Yes.
Or if you're doing a bachelor's or master's, it's anyway more than 1 year. So if you have studied in Australia for more than 1 year of time, 1 year or more, then you are exempted to meet English criteria for skill assessment under early childhood teacher. This is also known to be a temporary measure for now because there is much more higher shortage of such occupation. But then there is a possibility that the skill assessment body may remove this exemption for the English criteria, which we don't know for now when it will happen. But we are hoping that recently that the skill assessment body has started accepting and giving this exemption for English in December 2024. So it's been just few months, like 5-6 months now. So we are hoping that this concession will go on probably for another a year, 2 years of time. It could be more than that, mainly because I've been noticing that government have been telling that they have much more higher shortage of teachers, early childhood teachers, and also other childcare workers, for example, in this industry. Also through multiple sessions done by ministers when promoting through election campaigns, they have been saying that okay, they are investing more on childcare education. Also, the state governments, when in their briefings, they have been saying that they are investing probably millions or millions on childcare education settings. And that's where I feel that the chances are high that this occupation will remain high in demand, and also the chances of getting exemption probably will continue for another 2-3 years of time at least, because the Victorian state government, they were saying that they have a demand for at least 5 more years. The government or federal government is saying probably for next 10 years they have a shortage. So looking at that, I think the course is very popular now and also will remain in demand hopefully in the upcoming years as well. But then basically for skills assessment, these two requirements matters, which is qualification and English. And if you have studied 1 year graduate diploma in early childhood or any other qualification in Australia, which is bachelor's or master's, you are automatically exempted for English criteria. As long as your qualification is accredited, it is easier for you to get a skill assessment. When your qualification is not accredited, then we'll have to see what kind of components you have studied, whether you had placements and things like that to understand whether your qualification will still meet the criteria.
Okay, and so this is a requirement for the early childhood teacher. Parth already explained about the skill assessment requirement. Parth, if any student did, this is like teaching, like primary teaching or secondary teaching, then definitely that's the different requirement for the skill assessment, right?
Yeah, correct. So basically what happened is in December 2024, the skill assessment body for early childhood teacher got changed from AITSL to ASEQUA.
Okay.
And that's where the skill assessment criteria also got changed. But the other two occupations we are referring to, which is primary school teacher and also the secondary school teacher, those occupations are still assessed by AITSL, the previous skill assessment body for
Okay.
early childhood teacher. The other two occupations, special needs teacher and special impaired teachers, those are assessed by AITSL. So for all those occupations, the skill assessment body is still AITSL, and their requirements, they require still English criteria to be met without any exemption. I mean, there are exemptions to that, but they're not similar to the exemption we were referring for early childhood teacher. So for primary or a secondary school teacher, student must have studied at least 4 years of course at a level of advanced diploma or higher. So
To get
altogether,
English exemption.
no, this is a minimum criteria for qualification I'm
Okay.
referring.
Okay.
So if
Okay.
someone would like to get a skill assessment, that student must have studied a qualification at a level of advanced diploma or higher for at least 4 years in total. Second requirement is you must have studied at least 1 year in primary or secondary education, depending on what occupation I'm applying for a skill assessment, and that qualification must be at a level of a bachelor's or higher. Third requirement is that the qualification for 1 year in primary or secondary school teaching must have at least 45 days of supervised teaching practice. So that means when you are studying the course, there were at least 45 days of supervised teaching practice where you have been taken to the school and you have taught students in supervision of a teacher. Basically, that 45 days of teaching practice is a must. And once you are done with that, the fourth requirement is English criteria, where you are required to sit for IELTS academic version and score 7 bands in reading and writing and 8 bands in listening and speaking. You are exempted to meet this criteria based on certain exemptions, such as if you have studied at least 4 years at a level of a diploma or higher level qualification in Australia and some of the other countries like US, UK, New Zealand, Ireland, Canada. So then you are exempted to meet English requirement as such. But that exemption is different to exemption for early childhood teacher. For early childhood teacher, they only ask for 1 year study in such countries. For other occupations, they ask for 4 years of study at a level of diploma or higher. So that's a bit challenging, and that's where the one more thing I'd like to point out over here is that the competition for primary school teacher and secondary school teacher will be lesser than early childhood teacher. So if someone is willing to become a secondary school teacher, I strongly recommend going for that compared to early childhood teacher, because so many students are still looking at graduate diploma of early childhood because it's just 1 year course. Your investment is lesser, for an example, and English criteria is also lesser because you get exempted with just 1 year study. So comparatively, if someone is doing masters of suppose secondary school teaching, then your chances will be probably higher, or probably you can say in a way that your competition will be lesser if you'd like to apply as a second school teacher, because it's going to take 2 years of time. It will be costing you more. So that's why lesser students prefer that study. And plus, you still have to meet English criteria. So either you meet exemption by studying 4 years, or you score that IELTS score. And if you score that IELTS, then basically your competition is less. So that way, competition will be lesser if you go with that occupation. If you go with early childhood, as of now, the government is still prioritizing, and that's what people are getting. That's why not many students are interested in doing the masters of teaching. But still, someone who is here on a student visa doing a master's degree, they are required to continue maintain their study level. So they will be anyway looking at masters of secondary school teaching to also qualify for the work visa. But again, with even graduate diploma, there are some options where they can still lead from graduate diploma to a master's degree and still qualify for the work visa. But anyway, if you have any queries regarding courses as such, you may contact us and we can guide you further depending on your situation, because every different client have a different situation. And also, to what I know, for the students who are not studying on a student visa, they also have option to study, I think, online. So there are some different mode of study options available for the different universities. So I think
Yeah, so on 485 visas, like if the student is holding any temporary visa, like apart from student, they can study this course online. And if you are holding student visa, then definitely you have to study on campus, and it's completely on campus study.
Okay.
Just
sorry, before we move, I think we got a few questions, so we'll cover those first.
Yeah, so one Savan Sharma posted carpenter 65, 189 chances.
Savan, the number of applications for carpenter occupation is so less, so the chances are very good. The only concern we have is when immigration will conduct next invitation round for 189, that is not known. One thing. Secondly, whenever they are going to whenever they are going to conduct invitation round for 189, it is not certain that they are going to invite carpenters in that round. If they don't invite, then that could be tricky. Or if they are inviting but in lesser numbers, because if that round is for all the occupations, then your occupation might not be invited as such, because the cutoff will be less or something like this. So basically, the chances are very high. It all depends on when the government is going to conduct round and how they are going to conduct invitation round. Because recently, if you have noticed, they have given priority to carpenters, and that's why people having lesser points were also invited. But in the next rounds, if they invite all occupations, they don't give priority to carpenters, for an example, so then lesser number of applicants will be invited. That will make it higher cutoff for such occupations as well. But otherwise, chances are very good that they'll be inviting with even 65 points, because the competition is very less. Next question is from Anna.
Anna Carolina. She posted 482 SIT core skill. How long does it take for the nomination to be approved for a company that already had a valid sponsorship?
And look, generally for 482, the government, when they restructured the program from TSS, temporary skill shortage, to SID, skills in demand visa, at that time they said they are going to prioritize such applications. So at that time they were saying the processing time would be taking around, I think, 21 business days. So consider approximately around 1.5 month of time. But then nowadays we have seen it's taking probably more than 3-4 months even for some applications. So usually it's taking around 3-4 months, you can say. Some applications have been prioritized mainly based on either the position or probably based on the occupation. Some of the occupations are given priority, and some of the position means that if your work location is based on regional, then those applications are also prioritized. So when you apply for employer sponsored visa, if you have mentioned that you are going to work at a site which is based in regional, those applications are given much higher priority, and people whose occupation is mentioned as a priority occupation, like teachers, health occupations, they are given priority. So those applications are getting prioritized and fast tracked, like given outcomes within few days. For other applications, it's usually taking around 2-3 months, but some applications got delayed for even more than 3 months of time.
Okay. Now, can we start another course?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, we discuss about teaching related courses. Now we'll talk about a nursing. Again, it's like a popular course and occupation in all over Australia, not in only Victoria. So student can enroll for bachelor diploma of nursing, bachelor of nursing, or master of nursing as per their eligibility. So if you are doing diploma of nursing, you will become a enrolled nurse, and if you are doing a bachelor or master of nursing, then you will become eligible for a RN, registered nurse. So could you please just explain one thing part? If student is doing, I know if student is doing diploma of nursing, then as an enrolled nurse, chances are again high to get an invitation from all over the Australia, or like state is inviting registered nurse compared to enrolled nurse.
Okay. Look, generally, if you look at these two occupations, enrolled nurse, someone can qualify if they have done diploma of nursing. And if we are looking at a registered nurse, then they must have done a bachelor's degree or higher, which is bachelor's or master's most of the time. If we look at enrolled nurse, that occupation is listed under short-term skilled occupation list. That means occupation is in short-term demand. And if we look at registered nurse, that is listed under high demand occupation list called MLTSSN. So basically, if we look at registered nurse, that is given higher priority than enrolled nurse. However, that's not always the case. It depends on the state as well. Some states, they don't differentiate between enrolled nurse and a registered nurse because they don't receive so many applications. So they are fine with both occupations. Like if we look at Tasmania, for an example, or probably Northern Territory, they don't differentiate between occupations because they don't receive so many applications as such compared to the quota they have. So basically, that way, both occupations are given the similar priority. But for other states, bigger states, we have seen registered nurses are given higher priority because that's again in the high demand occupation list. Also, registered nurses have an access to 189 visa program as well, which enrolled nurse they don't have because that occupation is in low demand. So enrolled nurses has to get permanent residency under 190 state sponsored visa program or under 491 state sponsored visa program. However, registered nurses has access of 189 visa program on top of the other two programs as well. So it happens sometimes that when immigration has recently conducted invitation round for 189 where they've invited registered nurses, that's where the state government will have lesser applications under state nomination. That's where they are high chances that they will be invited as such because some applications have already been invited by immigration under 189 program. So less number of applications are waiting under 190 or 491. But for enrolled nurses, they only have a scope of going for 190 or 491. So probably number of applications will be more, So that is probably one of the reason I can think of. Otherwise, for both occupations, they have to get a skills assessment by getting a registration through EBRA, and there are multiple ways someone can get it by studying or by passing some examinations like written and practical examinations. So it depends. But yeah, if you have any questions, you can drop it and then we can try to cover that.
So Bindesh Patel has posted one question. How long does it take to receive a 491 visa grant after completing the medical examination?
Look, if you are saying that you have applied for 491 and medical examinations have been completed, if the department have asked for the medical examination after lodging your 491 application and then you have done it after a few months of time, consider that it should be quick, that they should finalize the application. But if you are saying that they have asked for the medicals automatically after submitting your application, then basically it's automatic request, no SSR has checked your application. So for those applications, the processing time is approximately 1 year of time for now. But if it is like you are saying, my application has taken more than 1 year of time now, the SSR has requested a medical because previous medical got expired, or I did not do it, something like this, then it could be quick. That suppose you do the medicals, then probably within next few days, next day, even if as long as your reasons got submitted to department and then they verified, so it could be on the same day or probably next day or within a week, 2 weeks of time, they should finalize applications usually. But some applications we have still noticed that it could probably take more than probably 1-2 months as well. It generally happens at the end of financial year. That is when the quota allocated for 491 program is pretty much used. then they will slow down the process for visa grant. So that could be the reason that it could take longer. But otherwise, most of the time, it is probably within few days to few weeks that they should finalize your application.
Okay, Ahmed Khan posted, do you have any idea of the 19491 invitation round chances in the Western Australia?
Unfortunately, I don't have any idea as such. There is a possibility that they may conduct invitation round, but it all depends on how many applications are actively made. I mean, which have good chances of, I mean, not good chance, but basically they are eligible for nomination. Basically, Western Australia will only conduct invitation round if they know that whatever applications have been submitted, out of that they will not be able to fill their quota for this year, then only they will conduct invitation round. If they think that whatever applications they have and then whatever quota they have, if those number of places given to the state government can be filled with the current applications, they will not conduct any new invitation round. So it all depends on that, and honestly, we don't have any idea as such that how many applications will be approved by Western Australian state government, whether they are actually meeting the criteria or what. So can't comment much on that.
Okay. Leo has posted quick question. My terror visa onshore application has been queued. What are the places or allocation for this year, please?
Honestly, it's not on top of my head, so I'll just quickly check. In the meantime, if you can ask me any other question you are asking about this nursing thing.
Okay, I have one more question. If any student did a nursing from the overseas, like we are also getting student from other countries like India, Pakistan, they did their Bachelor of Nursing in their home country. So how they gonna, like, if they were planning to migrate to Australia, on a, like if they are looking for a migration service, so how they gonna like be eligible? How they gonna get the skill assessment and
Look, generally, if someone have studied overseas and if their course is basically not accredited by the registration body, then basically they are required to get their qualification checked from APRA. So first there is a self-assessment tool. So you'll have to get your qualification checked. If they feel that yes, your qualification is at least meeting the minimum criteria, then they will ask you to do MCQ exam, the written exam at PSN test centers. Once you pass that, then you will be required to do practical examination at Simulation Center in Adelaide. And if you pass that, then you will be given a registration to work over here in Australia. With that registration, you can apply for a skills assessment through NMEC body. And once you get the skill assessment, you are eligible to apply for permanent visa options or a temporary visa, I mean, regional visa options like 491. Basically, for practical examination, it's only done in Australia. So you are required to apply for a visitor visa, come to Australia, and then study over here. I mean, prepare for the exam, attend the exam. If you pass it, then you will have a registration to apply for skills assessment, and then ultimately to apply for permanent visa. Or if you don't want to get a skill assessment, or if you get a skill assessment but you are not invited to apply for PR, with that registration you may look for jobs and you may ask employer to sponsor you for employer sponsored visa. Through that also you can come to Australia and then work and then look for permanent residency in later I mean on the at the later stage.
okay.
You keep going, I'll just see.
Okay, I thought you were just checking that career visa thing. Okay, so if you like Parth has already explained about the skill assessment requirement and the demand for the enrolled nurse and RN in Australia. So if you are looking for a course like Diploma of Nursing, Bachelor of Nursing, or Master of Nursing, you can just contact us. We will help you with the admission also. The next, we already discussed about the two popular courses, which is the first one is teaching and the second is nursing. Now the third one is again a most popular course, an occupation in all over Australia, which is a social worker. So could you please just give some brief about the social worker, how like it's demanding and all that, and then I'll explain about the like student can enroll for if you are looking for a course, then definitely Bachelor of Social Work or Master of Social Work. But when student finish, like how they're gonna get their skill assessment and the occupation is demanding or
Okay. Look, generally for social workers, that's again another occupation which is very popular. So many students actually ask us about this qualification as well because it is very popular in terms that easier to secure a job comparatively, because not so many students are studying such courses. It requires 2 years of study at least at a master's, or if you're doing a
4
bachelor's degree, then accordingly you will be studying.
It's 4.
But then basically with social worker occupation, good number of jobs are available, and comparatively probably equivalent or lesser students are qualified. So that's why it is easier to apply for permanent residency and also easier to get a job, as long as your English communication is good, because social worker requires interaction with people as such, and that's why your communication is very important for this role. And that's why skill assessment board is very strict with the English criteria. So for social worker, if they would like to get a skill assessment, they will look at first your qualification is accredited by the skill assessment body AASW. That's the body who do skill assessment. If it is accredited qualification, then you are required to do English test, where you are required to score 7 bands in each of the 4 modules in IELTS academic version, or you can combine multiple tests to achieve that result. But you can combine multiple tests only on a conditions that you scored overall 7 and at least 6.5 in each of the 4 modules, and yeah, then you can combine 2 multiple tests to make sure that if you combine suppose 2 test results, it has 7 in all of the 4 modules. So that is still permitted by them. But basically that is a mandatory criteria. There are some exemptions to English criteria, but for that they also says that they want secondary education also be done in English medium, and that's where English medium also in specific countries like Canada, US, UK, Ireland, New Zealand, Australia. So which is again very tricky for most of the students. So most of the time it's like you will have to do that English test and get the score to qualify for the skills assessment. Once you get a skill assessment, chances are much brighter for 110. Also the cutoff is much lesser. Also when we look at the state sponsored visas, most of the state governments they are sponsoring people with basic point score 65-70 points. So it's very popular in that terms, but it's basically you'll have to wait for 2 years of time. Also the admission criteria is a bit tricky compared to teaching, because with teaching you can combine with any previous qualifications, but with
Yes, but
social worker,
in Master of Social Work, if you don't have a cognate background means if you have not done a related course like a bachelor degree in political science or social science, then yes, definitely you are not eligible for the direct entry into Master of Social Work. But yes, you can be eligible for a pathway course. Pathway course means you will be getting admission in like a graduate certificate leading to a Master of Social Work. So again, student may be eligible, but yes, again, it's depend on case-to-case basis. And we will also help you if you are interested for social work course admission, then yeah, you can again contact us.
Yeah, so if you can probably talk about some of the universities offering such courses. So.
Yeah. Many universities who's offering bachelor degree and bachelor of social work, if I'm particularly talking about, then many universities like Deakin University, Swinburne, RMIT. If you were looking for colleges, then Stott College, Southern Cross Higher Education Institute, all these are offering courses. Again, for Master of Social Work, all these universities and colleges are offering. If you are not eligible for a direct entry, then again, some colleges and universities offering pathway course like Acknowledge Education, they offer pathway course grad certificate in human service leading to a Master of Social Work. So let's say if you don't have a 7 each in IELTS or PT, and you were thinking, oh, how I'm not eligible for social work. No, but let's say if you have a 6.5 with 6 score, again in a pathway course you become eligible. Like for pathway course, 6.5 with 6 only required. So we can also help you with that if you don't have a 7 each in IELTS or PT. Some college also accept the 6.5 with 6 band in English and IELTS or PT. And most of the college and university have a like May intake, July intake, and September intake. So yes, you can enroll for that. Then Leo.
Leo, I'm just looking for the information. As soon as I get it, I'll just cover that, or I'll put it on the comment section itself. So it will be easier. I'm still looking in between.
Okay, Dipti Oza has posted, I applied 186 direct entry visa and nomination both same day. That condition in both are granted same day.
I applied 186 direct entry visa and nomination both same day. That condition
In both are granted same day.
Okay, so in that condition, whether you are asking whether it will be granted on the same day, if you have applied both on the same day, good possibility that you will get both approved if you're meeting all the criteria on the same day. However, if any details is pending, any details are pending in the application, then there is a possibility that your visa may get delayed. For an example, your nomination met all the criteria, they granted the visa on the same day. Usually the case officer will assess the application because it's a combined assessment. So they will assess your 186 visa, but then they notice that your medical is pending or your police checks are expired, anything like that. Sorry. Then your visa may get delayed, but otherwise, most of the time it's on the same day that they finalize the application.
Okay, Ahmad Khan posted one more question. By doing diploma of nursing, we can get skill assessment just by submitting transcript.
And a completion later. But yes, without any experience, you are eligible to get a skill assessment. Also considering you have the
So
7 bands.
basically, you have completed accredited course.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you
If
have
the course is not accredited, then
there are extra requirements. So basically, if you have done diploma of nursing from approved provider, accredited qualification from APRA, then you are eligible for registration. You are also required to have 7 bands in each of the 4 modules to get a registration. Once you get a registration, then for skills assessment, you just need your qualification documents and you will be given a skills assessment. So basically transcript and generally a completion letter or degree certificate is required.
Okay, Rohan has posted for employer sponsored. Please advise, do we require a physical office in Australia to be compliant to our employer that we have already transferred from India to Australia and to be able to bring new employee to Australia? Business is thinking of not renewing our current office. Current office lease as employee, either work from home or client side. We will still have the legal entity in Australia and have the employees, just not the physical office. Please advise if this will have any impact to the population current on a work visa and what we should do according to the regulatory requirements.
Look, generally speaking, physical office is not a mandatory criteria to comply with employees that already run from India or Australia. So there is no requirement to have a physical office as such. It all depends on whether you have a genuine work to for an employee to work full time. That is what matters, because there are so many businesses which are not having any site as such in Australia. But then basically it is a requirement that you have to prove that your business is actively registered and operating in Australia. Location usually doesn't matter much because there are companies, they also sponsor people on labor hire practices. For an example, they don't have any office as such. So it is actually fine with that. Business is thinking of not renewing our current office lease as employee, either work from home or client side. We still have a legal entity in Australia, have employees, just not the physical office. Please advise if this will have an impact to population current on work visa and what should we do according to regulatory requirements. Okay. So basically, to what I remember, there is no requirement as such of having an office as such to meet this criteria, as long as you have a project, because it is also possible that for certain occupations and certain kind of work where you have a client site, you'll be working at client site. That's where your office in particular does not have any office as such. So it is totally fine if your employer does not have any office, logically thinking, because we have dealt with similar cases as such where they don't have a site as such, but then client have a site as such. But then still, I will just double check about your question and then I will get back to you on that.
Apu Patel has posted, what about ECT for PR? Early childhood educator. We already discussed about the PR pathways and everything, but yes,
Yeah,
if you can
so
just a little.
it depends on where you are qualified. If you are applying for state nomination, different state have a different criteria, so you'll have to meet that state's criteria. Some state governments ask you to be working there for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year to qualify, so you'll have to meet that criteria. Some states they ask for higher English score when they are selecting people, so it all depends on that. Some state governments focus on the points, so we can talk probably more once we know about whether you're targeting state, whether you're targeting 189 or what. But then points usually helps in most of the states. So you should focus on the points. consider that if you have 7 bands in each, you have good chance of getting an invitation to apply for permanent residency.
Okay. Shalinder Singh posted, what's the advice for commercial cookery course, please? So I think he want to know about the PR pathways if he did a commercial cookery.
Yeah, so if you have done commercial cookery, you can possibly qualify under 2, 3 occupations. If you have done certificate 3, you qualify as a cook. If you have done certificate 4, you qualify as a chef. If you have done a diploma, you may qualify as a restaurant manager as well. For all these 3 occupations, you require 1 year of experience. For restaurant manager, 1 year part-time experience, at least 20 hours per week will do. But for cook and chef, you need 1 year full-time experience to get a skills assessment and look for PR options based on that. You will have an option to either look at state-sponsored visas, or probably as a chef, you can apply for even 189 visa. More the points, higher the possibility of invite. And you may also look at employer-sponsored visa under cook or chef. A restaurant manager is not eligible occupation for employer-sponsored visa under 482 and 186. But if you find an employer who's willing to sponsor you under 494 regional employer-sponsored visa, that is still an option. But it's going to take more time for you to qualify because it asks for 3 years of experience. Anyway, so as a cook and chef, you may look at employer-sponsored visa option, or you can look at state-sponsored visa, or for as a chef, you can look at even 189 visa. We have noticed that hospitality occupations are given priority in good number of states, such as Western Australia, Victoria for 491, New South Wales for I think both 190, 491. Western Australia, they have been inviting under both occupation groups 190, 491. Tasmania, they have been giving priority for such occupations. Northern Territory is also fine. So I think the occupation is high in demand, comparatively easier to apply for permanent residency. 190 could be tricky depending on the state, but 491 should not be a problem. So if you, depending on different state, we have to target how you can qualify. Some state governments, they focus on the points. Some state government focus on how many months you have been working in the state. So if you are not good with points, we can probably advise you state where work experience matters, points doesn't matter. Where if you are saying I'm not working now in the relevant field, but I have a skill assessment with 1 year experience, then we can focus on the states which focus on the points. So again, based on your profile, we can advise you where to go, how to do things.
Thank you, Bad. Atit Shah posted, what are the scope of marketing specialists in Victoria?
We have seen that Victoria State Government, they have been inviting marketing specialists in I think last financial year as well and this year as well. Chances are good, but then consider that you require superior English to be selected, plus at least 1 year of experience in Australia. Victoria State Government, they focus on certain factors when they are selecting people. Firstly, they look at your salary, how much you're earning. People earning more than $100,000 plus super were given priority. That's what we have noticed. Secondly, if your partner is skilled, that means your partner has a skills assessment and six months in each, competent English, were given a priority. That's a second factor. Third factor they look at is how much have you scored in English, superior English, the possibility. How many years of experience you have in the relevant field, and whether you are working in the relevant field. That's another factor we have noticed that they have invited people. So these are the 5 factors. In this current financial year, we have noticed people with minimum 3 factors. And out of these 3, one factor out of first 2 factors, which is having a partner, skilled partner or salary of 100,000 or more, one factor out of these 2 and plus any 2 other factors were given priority. So depending on what factors you have, you will be selected by Victoria State Government. But then these are the 5 factors we have seen for this year, based on which they were prioritizing the applications. In the upcoming year, we don't know how it will go until they conduct few invitation rounds, so we'll have some idea. But you should work on these factors because since last 3-4 years, I think Victoria State Government have been inviting people based on these factors. So I think, and their program is going well. So I think they will continue with the similar program. If their quota is even less, I think still, because it is invitation based process, so their program, I don't think will change a lot in the new financial year.
Okay, Arshdeep posted, what is the process for renew PR?
Look, generally for permanent residency, if you have stayed for 2 years in last 5 years, then you are eligible to renew it for another 5 years of time. So once you get your permanent residency, you will get 5 years of travel permit. So permanent visa is actually letting you stay indefinitely in Australia if you don't leave the country. But if you are traveling overseas, then you have a travel permit for 5 years of time. So during that 5 years, So the day on which you would like to apply for renewal of your PR, from that day within last 5 years, they will see whether you have stayed for 2 years or more in Australia, then you are eligible for 5 years of renewal. If you are applying for renewal, suppose on a particular day, from that day within last 5 years, you have stayed for less than 2 years, you can possibly qualify for 1 year of renewal, where you can have entry permit for 1 year of time. But once you enter the country, again, you can stay indefinitely in Australia. So that could be 1 year of renewal. Also, in that cases, you are required to usually prove your reason for absence in Australia, why you could not be in Australia during that permanent residency period. And secondly, you will be required to prove your ties in Australia. So ties could be your business ties, employment ties, education ties, family ties, property ties, could be anything. So more the ties, better for you. There is no requirement as such how many ties you should have. But then we have seen that usually government is a bit lenient with renewal of your permanent residency. So it should be fine as long as you have stayed for a few days within last 5 years. If you haven't stayed within last few years, then reason for your absence is very important when they are assessing and finalizing the application. So anyway, let us know and we can help you with that.
Okay. Dreamwin posted is office administrator or office manager in school from in which in India with MBA degree eligible to direct job or PR?
Office administrator, I don't think is possible. Again, that is possible under some other program like DAMA program, for an example. It is still possible, or probably company specific agreement if they have, then this occupation is still possible. But otherwise, office manager, if you're looking at, then yes, this occupation is eligible for employer sponsored visa. So if you find an employer who is willing to sponsor you under the employer sponsored visa program 482 or 186, you can qualify for employer sponsored visa. So you'll have to find an employer who is willing to sponsor you as office manager. So they must have office operation over here and you're going to manage that office over here. Then you can qualify for that visa. So 482 is a temporary visa, 186 is a permanent visa. So 482 leading to permanent visa, you can apply, or if your employer is willing to sponsor you and you are meeting all the criteria for straight away permanent visa 186, you can still apply straight away for permanent visa.
Akshay Patel posted, hello, I have a 90 points for a chemist. Can I expect invitation from Victoria 190 and 189? Or any chance from Western Australia for 491? Having a skill partner, superior English, 90 points, no job in Victoria.
Okay. Look, your chances for 190 in Victoria, as I just mentioned, it depends on those 5 factors, which is your salary, your partner skills. You haven't mentioned about your salary. You haven't mentioned about your partner skills.
He mentioned having a skill partner, superior English and 90 points he has.
Okay.
But no job in Victoria.
Yeah, so partner is skilled, so that's good. Super English is good. NATI, they don't look at. No job in Victoria. So basically, you have 2 factors, which is skilled partner and super English. That's where you're lacking one more factor to be probably considered for 190, because in this year we noticed people having 3 factors. So basically, you are missing. You haven't mentioned salary, so I don't know. But if you're having 100,000 or more salary, then your possibility will be good. Otherwise, if you have a job in the relevant field, then your chances will be good for 190. Otherwise, you should target 491 Victoria State nomination. We have noticed that people having superior English, you have super English, are given priority for 491. So you may target that. At the same time, you may wait for 189 invitation round to happen and hope for the best that in case if they invite good number of applicants, then you will be invited with 90 or even 85 points. So probably wait for 189. But at the same time, I'll recommend you apply for 491. So at least you remain secure depending on when is your current visa expiring. So you
Akshay
can.
Patel mentioned same partner chemist.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So basically, or what you can also do is you can apply for your partner for 491 and you keep trying for 189, 190. You can also do that way. If you feel 190 is not working, even 189 round is not happening, then you may change your application to 491. But 491 chances are good because we have noticed people either working in the same field in regional Victoria or people having superior English were given priority in the current financial year. So hopefully if they keep the same thing, then in the next financial year, the chances will be good for 491. So that's what probably I will recommend.
Okay, Deepthi was reposted again question, like I can job with other employers when my 1 in 6 visa nomination and visa applied before visa granted.
Basically, I think she's asking, can I work with
With
other
other
employers?
employer before my visa granted? or
Yeah,
maybe
look,
a
basically there is
nomination?
no restriction on where you can work until your 186 visa gets granted. And even once your 186 visa get granted, your visa does not come with a condition that you must be working with the same employer as such. But then you basically advised your employer that, okay, I'm going to work with you, sign a contract. So that way you may say, but as per your visa condition, once your 186 even get granted, it does not come with a condition. Before your 186 visa, it may be required, you may be required to work with the same employer, considering you were sponsored by the same employer on a 482 visa. Then your 482 visa condition will probably require you to be working with the same employer. But otherwise, there is no obligation to work with the same employer before your 186 visa or nomination get granted.
Okay, thank you, Parth. Akash posted, is there any chance for an ICT business analyst with 3 years of experience, a salary over 100K, no superior English, and a skill partner to receive 190 or 189 with the 90 points? So basically, he has a 90 point, he has a skill partner, and salary over 100K, but no
Yeah.
superior English.
Okay. I think your chances are good because you are meeting the topmost priority factors for them, which is having a skilled partner and
salary.
also salary. So, which is good years of experience, and you're also working in the relevant field. So, basically, four factors, you're only missing out on super English. So, I think your chances are very good that you should be invited for Victoria State Government Invitation Program. We'll see in the next year how many seats they have. So, that way also it may become a bit trickier. But if it is similar number of seats, good chances that you should receive an invite. It will also depend on if the seats are the same. Allocation is, so for example, the same, but then if they are still going to prioritize specific occupations, then less number of seats will be allocated to IT occupations. So that might become a bit trickier that way. But again, once the program starts, then only we'll get to know that how they are prioritizing applications. That way, probably we'll have a better idea as such. But for now, the profile looks good as per the current year, how they have invited applicants.
Okay. Kawaljit Singh posted, haven't seen many invitation for carpenters by NSW in last few rounds. Any hope in future rounds, or should we move state?
Kawaljit, we were and we are actually even now we are very hopeful that New South Wales should conduct invitation round because they'll still have good number of seats left for this financial year. We don't know whether they are genuinely willing to finalize or use all the allocations they have received from the department. Usually, the state governments try to do so because if they don't use the seats, it will be wasted. Basically, they don't get those seats in the new financial year. In new financial year, whatever seats they are going to get, they will only get those many seats. So that's why most of the time it's like state government try to use all the seats, but internally if they have some different plan, then we don't know for now. But otherwise, we are hopeful that they should conduct another round and they should be inviting carpenters again with the lesser skills. Because for 118 rounds, people having minimum points were anyway invited. So I don't think New South Wales will have so many people qualifying under state nomination. So chances are good. It's just you're hoping for a new invitation round. I don't think for now you should be moving to any other state because most of the states have consumed their state nomination quota. So I would say better to wait until New South Wales, you wait until June end so that you will get to know if New South Wales is conducting another round because that's the only hope for now because of the states they have already consumed their quota or very, uh, I mean, their program is like close to end. So New South Wales is your only hope for this financial year. If you are not invited by June, then we'll see in the new financial year how is the program, and then you may try and see if you would like to move to some other state.
Okay. Akshay Patel, the chemist, when he posted, we are on ART, so we can't apply 491 as we doing another study.
If you are on ART, that doesn't mean you cannot apply for 491. Basically, you are required to be living and working in regional Victoria. You are still eligible to apply for 491. I understand you cannot apply for 491 under Victorian graduate pathway because you are not holding 485 or 500. I think you are talking about Victoria only. Let me see your other comments.
Victoria and Western Australia both. Victoria 190, 189 and
So for Victoria, it's not like you cannot apply. Basically, you are required to be living and working in regional Victoria. You can still qualify. You must be working in a skill level 1, 2, or 3 occupation. If you are doing so, you are still eligible to apply for 491. So you should look at that option if you are not very hopeful with your ART application. So then time is constraint for you. So wherever you get anything, you should take it. For chemist in Western Australia, I don't remember the cutoff for now. Let me quickly check. the cutoff for that. The meantime, I'll take the other question.
Ankur Gandhi posted ICT business analyst 80 plus 5 Victoria. Occupation job 120K plus skill partner. In August 25, 3 years experience. I think it would be done. And then 85 plus 5.
Yeah, I think your profile is very similar to Akash. He was also on the similar skill set, basically
Yeah.
same 90 points. I mean, you have 80 plus 5 points, 85. But basically, your profile is very good. Your partner is skilled, having good salary, good years of experience. I mean, 1 year is still a priority for them, so 3 years will be extra priority. So profile is good. It's just that you are waiting for a new allocation and see how many seats they have been, they have been given. And secondly, whether they are prioritizing your occupation, IT occupation, or some other occupations. Based on that, it will be you will have a better idea on that. But for now, looking at the current year, I think the profile is good. I'll just quickly go through Western Australian invitation program for Akshay. So chemists were invited with 95 points in the recent invitation round. So basically, you are saying you have, I think, 90 plus 5. So last round, chemists were invited with 95. Sorry. Yeah, invited with 95 points. And you mentioned that you had
91 points. 90.
Yeah, 91 points plus 5 points from the state, 95. So your possibility is good for Western Australia, but then that will be probably for 491, because for 190 you will still require a relevant job offer for 6 months full-time basis. So that could be tricky if in case if you don't get it. So otherwise you can focus on 491. Ankur Gandhi is saying 10 years of experience. So Ankur.
The last question. This one, ICT.
Okay, yeah. So your experience is good. So I think your profile is good. It's just that we are waiting for the New Year's program and see how it goes.
Sumit Sharma posted whether going to India is now safe or not. Obviously, it is safe. Which
Going to
visa you
India
are
is now
holding,
safe.
Sumit? Whether you mention any visa things? No. D posted if dependent children goes offshore while awaiting visa grant, student visa, should they submit change in circumstances form and inform that the children are not onshore anymore? Thank you for your time.
Should we have made a change there? Look, generally speaking, the rule is that if your address got changed for more than 14 days of time, you are required to notify the department of the change. So if you notify the department, there is no harm in doing so. If you don't do so, then they may raise a concern with that. So you should notify them, but it's not going to make any difference. So it's better you notify. And then we are receiving another question, Savan. When can Western Australia round again happen? Again, look, we are not sure because we don't know how many seats they have already consumed for now and how many applications still they have to assess. Based on that, they will decide. So if they think that the seats given to them can be used using the applications already submitted and invited by Western Australian state government, then they will not conduct any new invitation round. But if they still see that, okay, if they have finalized all the applications which have been invited for until now, and if they are not able to utilize all the quota because some applications will get refused, some people will not apply because they will get a job offer, things like that. That's why they always invite more than the seats allocated to them, so you might have noticed that we Western Australia have 5,000 seats, but on their website they mentioned I think around 10,000 or more than that applicants were invited to apply for Western Australia state nomination. Yeah, 10,540 applicants they have invited so far. And basically they have 5,000 places, so they know that so many people after being invited initially to apply for state nomination, they don't turn up because they don't have a job offer, or probably they have been invited already multiple times, things like that. So that could be the reason that their allocation does not get used using that 10,000 invites they have issued. That's why they always invite more people. So once they finalize all the applications which have been submitted to them, and if they see that seats are still available, then they will probably conduct invitation round. Otherwise, I don't think they will be conducting.
Sumit Sharma posted, I'm doing more than 24 hours. So immigration at airport is strict
now.
now.
So Sumit, basically, if you are breaching your visa condition, if the government will find out, then for sure they will cancel your visa and they will not allow you to they will not be giving you permission to enter the country. Like they will not clear your immigration asset. They can also put you in detention center. So certainly it's like if you are breaching your visa condition, then you should stop. If department get to know, then your visa could be cancelled. It's not just about at the airport, but even if you are in the country, if government will find out, then they will cancel your visa. So basically, I will not. It's not about me, but then no one will recommend that you breach your visa condition as such. So yes, we have seen department is strict nowadays, checking people's phones, asking for employment details, education details, where you are studying, what classes you are attending, classes, things like that. So whenever they have a doubt, or there are some strict compliance requirements advised by the relevant program manager team, for example, then it could be trickier. They will be asking you questions. They may also ask you to show your phone, because we have been told by a few of our clients as well that they have been asked to show their phone, their pay slips, to see how many hours you have worked and things like that. So we don't recommend at all to any students that you breach condition as such. And if you have mistakenly breached for now, or it's not mistakenly, if knowingly also, if you have done so, then basically you stop doing that, because that could create a problem. So if you're willing to travel, I mean, if you're planning to travel, you can certainly travel, but then yes, this could be concerning. But this is not just because you are traveling, so it could be concerning. But even if you are in Australia, suppose working at your workplace, you department officers can still come to your place and say, okay, you are breaching your visa condition. Because if they would like to check with the ATO, they can still check with the ATO and find out, but then I mean, we have seen they are not that strict with that compliance that they will be checking as of now. But then when you're coming from the border, they will try to find out some reasons. Sometimes it happens, when the compliance is strict. So it depends on that, and you can't control that thing. So it's better you work only limited hours. I think that's end of the questions. I have to respond to two of the questions, so I'll go through. I think Rohan. Yeah, I'll just go through policy, and then we will give you something a definite answer. And also with Leo, I just quickly checked, but then I could not directly find the allocation as such. So I will just quickly go through that as well, and then I will comment on your query. I'm not sure which portal you have commented, but I'll just look for it, and then we'll get back to you. I think that's over 1 hour session, so we'll end the session here. Any other questions you have, you may still put it or post it on the relevant social media handles, and we'll answer those queries. Or if you would like to consult us, then you can book an appointment either face to face. We also provide video and phone consultation, so you feel free to contact us. We are available in all the major cities, and also in nearby suburbs. So please reach out to us. I wish you a very good, happy weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.